3 rolling stocks, 3 lines, and the third to last stop. Hello and welcome to Porter. This station sits in a nice and quiet little area of Cambridge, or at least as quiet as any area of Cambridge can be, and it hosts a connection between the MBTA commuter rail and the Red Line. Today, we're going to be taking the Red Line, so let's go right on in. First up, we need to go down all of these stairs. Then we can buy a ticket over here if you need to buy a ticket. I have entered the gates and now we go down. Unfortunately, the escalator was closed today, and that really sucks because this is actually the deepest station in the whole of the MBTA system, at 110 feet or 32 meters deep. So let's speed it up. Alas, we have finally made it to the platform, and just in time to see the Owllife bound train depart. And now, let's go onto the platform. And it's not really that far ahead, so here we are. We have a few minutes until we depart, so I'm just gonna go skip ahead a bit until our train comes in. And here's our train. This train is one of the 1800 rolling stocks, which we will be taking 7 stops and 7 kilometers, or 4.6 miles, to Boston South Station. So let's go! The Red Line is a total of 22.5 total miles, or 36.2 kilometers. There's one main line that lasts for 12 stops from Owllife to JFK, UMass, which then branches off into the Ashmont and to the Braintree branches. The Ashmont branch features 4 stops, the Braintree branch features 5, and both of these feature onward transportation via the MBTA further than the Red Line itself, with the Ashmont branch featuring some buses at Ashmont, as well as the Ashmont-Mattapan high-speed line, which I will do a video on one day. Not exactly now, but I will most definitely do a video on one day, as it is a very interesting little trolley line right outside of Boston. Anyways, the Braintree line features a commuter rail connection to the Old Colony commuter rail lines, which are the 3 lines that basically branch off of Braintree, named after the Old Colony Railroad. There are additionally bus connections available at this stop as well. And with that, here we are at Harvard Square Station, one of my favorite stations in the entire MBTA system. And we quickly move on to the not-so-central by any means, and unaptly named Central Square. Well, I guess it is aptly named then, because it's named after a square. Nothing too special here, but I want to talk about why the Red Line is called the Red Line. So, if you did not know, the Red Line, we just passed Harvard Square, and Harvard Square has, well, Harvard. Harvard is one of the most famous universities in the world, and I'm sure you probably know about it. The only other one that I can think is probably on that level is Oxford University in England. Both of them are very renowned universities, but anyway, the Red Line was named red for the fact that it serves Harvard University, as Harvard's main colors are red. Quickly, we move into the station of another very famous university across the US and maybe even the world. MIT. Kendall MIT serves the Massachusetts Institution of Technology, and it is a pretty run-of-the-mill station. However, as we pull out, we see a Pullman pull in. Pullmans are one of the 3 types of rolling stock on the Red Line. The other 2 are the rare 1900s and the 1800s, which are the most common and are the ones we are currently in right now. The 1900s are pretty similar to the Orange Line, with just a slightly different interior and exterior, more so a different frame than anything, but with also different colors to match the different 9 colors. The 1800s are a hybrid between the old and the new, with slightly more comfortable seating, but also just with kind of the same patterns as the Pullmans. The 1800s feature a more modern outside and a more modern, like, siding to the train as well, and I think are more safe than the Pullmans, as well as having a more modern beep. Finally, the Pullmans are the oldest trains on the system. I believe they've been around since the 70s or 60s. They're getting to be really old, and while they do have a fun beep, they are not the most safe in the world. So I really hope that, as much as I love them, they can go out of service and go into retirement soon. You may have noticed that we are on a bridge right now. This is actually the Longfellow Bridge, and it goes directly over the Mystic River. This is the bridge that brings us from Cambridge to Boston. It is a very beautiful bridge to ride over whenever you are on the Red Line. However, quickly our bridge ride comes to an end as we make our way into Charles MGH. There's nothing too special at Charles MGH, although I believe it is one of the only, if not the only, elevated rail station left in Boston. See, there used to be a lot of elevated rail in Boston, but it was put underground as part of the Big Dig, I believe. Anyways, we quickly make our way into Park Street.
Entering Park Street.
The oldest station in the entire Western Hemisphere. There are 6 tracks at this station, although this is not the oldest part of it. We will eventually explore more of it in a future video. However, we move on to Downtown Crossing. A fun fact, you can actually walk to Downtown Crossing from here via an underground corridor. I would love to see someone do a race between the underground corridor and the Red Line. I feel like with the speed restrictions that were there until about a month ago, you could have definitely won it on a corridor, but it might be a bit harder now. And now we are at Downtown Crossing, a transfer hub between the Red Line and the Orange Line. There's not much to say here. It was in the urban center of Boston. And finally, we pull out of here, and let's talk about electrification real quick before we make it to our final destination. The Red Line uses third rail electrification to get its power from it. Nothing else, just that. Pretty plain and pretty simple, but it gets the job done, and you know, our train quickly gets the job done as we pull into Boston South Station. Thank you so much for watching this video. The next video next week is going to be about the Silver Line, which is the Boston BRT kind of, but also not, system. So I really hope you enjoy that video when it comes out. And thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye!